do you think Epstein killed himself sincerely?
I'm Tommy Vietor.
I'm Brian Tyler Cohen.
And today we're going to be drafting the Haunted House of Representatives. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. And this is actually a great time to do this because the House of Representatives is in a state of what seems like perpetual and maybe permanent chaos and dysfunction.
Endless dysfunction. And we are going to look at some of the biggest chaos agents, but with a little Halloween theme.
Yeah, let's do it.
Now I'm going to flip a coin.
I'll call heads.
Heads it is.
Let's bring this one back home. All right, for my first choice, I'm going with Jim Jordan.
College wrestling referee says he complained to Ohio State University's wrestling coaches about sexual misconduct by one of the team doctors, but they did nothing about it. One of the assistant coaches at the time was current Congressman Jim Jordan. Congressman Jordan has repeatedly denied knowing about the abuse allegations.
Jim Jordan was an assistant coach for Ohio State University's wrestling team. He was there from 1986 to 1994. During that time, the team doctor, Richard Strauss, was accused of, or was proven to have sexually abused members of that team. I think there were numbers as high as 177 different wrestlers. 6 former wrestlers have come out since and allege that it is impossible that Jordan was unaware of the misconduct. Here's the quote. He is absolutely lying if he says he didn't know what was going on.
You know, the first job of a coach is to take care of...
to make sure they're safe.
Your players, your team. And, you know, members of that team said that they would joke about this creepy doctor all the time because you'd go in with like a hurt forearm and he'd do a hernia test,
right.
Which means he'd, get you naked.
I think they said they called him like Dr. Cough or something like that.
Yes, yeah, it's a real scumbag. Okay, we're going to stick with the theme here then of people involved in truly heinous crimes. I'm going to go with disturbing Denny Hastert.
Withered and wheelchair-bound, former Speaker of the House Dennis Hastert came to federal court for a public shaming he brought on himself. In the courtroom, Hastert finally admitted he had molested boys on the Yorkville High School wrestling team he coached decades ago. "What I did was wrong," he said, "and I regret it." Judge Thomas Durkin suggested that was not enough. Nothing is more stunning than having serial child molester and Speaker of the House in the same sentence, the judge said.
Denny Hastert was the longest-serving Republican House Speaker in history. As we saw there in that clip, he pleaded guilty in 2015 to withdrawing nearly $1 million from various bank accounts to pay off a victim he sexually abused. Prosecutors say that Hastert molested at least 4 boys when he was a wrestling coach in Illinois. For some reason, Brian, people on the Hill still refer to the Hastert rule, which is sort of a way that leaders manage House members.
The Hastert rule should be sending people who lie about molesting kids or have anything to do with molesting teenage wrestlers to prison. Yeah, that's what the Hastert rule should be.
That's what it should be. But by the way, these Republicans never hesitate to call Democrats or gay people or trans people groomers. Meanwhile, the head of their party was molesting kids. So
every accusation's a confession.
Yes.
Let's go from there to the Gingrich Affair.
As you know, your ex-wife gave an interview to ABC News and another interview at the Washington Post, and this story has now gone viral on the internet. In it, she says that you came to her in 1999, at a time when you were having an affair. She says you asked her, sir, to enter into an open marriage. Would you like to take some time to respond to that?
No, but I will. I think the destructive, vicious, negative nature of much of the news media makes it harder to govern this country, harder to attract decent people to run for public office, and I am appalled that you would begin a presidential debate on a topic like that.
The irony of the affair here was that Newt Gingrich led the push to impeach Bill Clinton in 1998 for his affair, and he thought that it would hurt Democrats in midterms. That's why he was doing it. But he was doing it while having an affair with a woman who was 23 years younger than him. So the whole push was against Bill Clinton for having an affair while he was having an affair himself. But more importantly, or equally as important, going back to what Gingrich said about the media being disgusting, Newt Gingrich is like unilaterally responsible for the acrimony in politics today. And this is absolutely a hill that I'll die on. If you're wondering how politics got so terrible and so disgusting, it is the result of Newt Gingrich. He created the modern Republican Party as it is today. University of Maryland political scientist Liliana Mason identified his instructions to Republicans to use words such as betray, bizarre, decay, destroy, devour, greed, lie, pathetic, radical, selfish, shame, sick, steal, and traitors about Democrats. And if all of that sounds familiar, it's because it started with Newt Gingrich. So Again, this is a hill I'll die on. The reason that politics is so disgusting as it is today is the direct result of Newt Gingrich.
Totally with you there. Also, the guy's pretty good at politics. He took a really hard question, answered it amazingly, turned it on the moderator, maybe one of his only good debate moments, frankly, in that entire campaign.
Yeah, but it also goes to show that there's no shame, and so you can really
shame.
do anything when you have when there's no scruples, no shame.
We're going to stick with some leadership here, Brian. I'm going to go with the fall of my Kevin. We got a clip.
So I may have lost a vote today, but as I walk out of this chamber, I feel fortunate to have served the American people. Unfortunately, 4% of our conference can join all the Democrats and dictate who can be the Republican Speaker in this House. I don't think that rule is good for the institution, but apparently I'm the only one. I will not run for Speaker again. I'll have the conference pick somebody else.
Just days later, he tried to get himself drafted to be Speaker again. Here's why I have Kevin pretty high up on my list. He is single-handedly responsible for rehabbing Trump's image within the Republican Party after January 6th. Kevin initially denounced Trump, then he went down to Mar-a-Lago to kiss the
right
ring.
Back down, yeah.
Also, Kevin McCarthy is well known. I'm not saying this just to be mean, but he's well known for being dumb. And he's someone who was just so desperate for power that he was willing to cut any deal it took to get the office of Speaker. And he is the reason why we currently don't have a Speaker of the House, because he created this unmanageable dysfunction.
And by the way, he complains about there being such an easy threshold to introduce the motion to vacate. He agreed to it.
Boo-hoo, buddy.
All right, from there, let's go to everyone hates Matt Gaetz. Let's see the clip.
I take no lecture on asking patriotic Americans to weigh in and contribute to this fight from those who would grovel and bend knee for the lobbyists and special interests who own our leadership, who have, boo all you want, who have hollowed out this town and have borrowed against the future of our future generations. I'll be happy to fund my political operation through the work of hardworking Americans, $10 and $20 and $30 at a time, and you all keep showing up at the lobbyist fundraisers and see how that goes for you. I reserve.
Do you realize how shitty you have to be booed by Republicans as a Republican?
He was, for a very long time, your typical, kind of moderate country club Republican. Then he saw which way, kind of the MAGA winds were blowing, and he's gone all in on whatever that was.
Yeah.
And, look, he's played a game pretty well. He's built a huge name ID. He's probably going to run for governor of Florida. But he's just, the textbook example of getting ahead by doing the worst thing possible.
And by the way,
terrible.
A lot of Republicans are looking at that exact strategy by Matt Gaetz and just replicating it from, the Marjorie Taylor Greenes and Lauren Boeberts, the obvious ones, to even people like Elise Stefanie and Nancy Mace. These otherwise who would be moderate Republicans who are just seeing the incentive structure because of someone like Matt Gaetz and just doing their own thing exactly in the mold of him.
Okay, for my next pick, I'm going to go with the vileness of Marjorie Taylor Greene.
If school zones were protected with security guards with guns, there would be no mass shootings at schools.
When Hunter Biden paid for this woman to do this with him, to travel across state lines, probably in about 4 or 5 generations, no one will be straight anymore. Everyone will be either gay or trans or non-conforming or whatever the list of 50 or 60 different options there are.
So that first clip is her harassing a survivor of the Parkland school shooting before she was a member of Congress. The second clip is her holding up a picture of Hunter Biden's penis at a committee hearing.
So things have gotten better. She really settled into the job.
Yeah, she's really grown into the job. The irony of the joke is she kind of has, she went from QAnon, posting about Jewish space lasers on Facebook to kind of playing within the system a little bit more. But every once in a while, someone is elected to Congress. George Santos is another one where you think this person is too toxic. The Republican Party, the antibodies are going to cling to them and spit them back out. But no, Marjorie Taylor Greene has grown in influence. She is leading the party in a lot of ways.
I was just going to say, grown in influence. She was Kevin McCarthy's right-hand woman.
Yeah.
I mean, she was one of the most important, if not the most important member of his conference.
Yeah, she's terrible.
Okay, for my next choice, let's go with Madison Cawthorn's Coke Orgies. Let's see the clip.
The sexual perversion that goes on in Washington, being kind of a young guy in Washington, with the average age is probably 60 or 70, and I look at all these people, a lot of them that I've looked up to through my life, I've always paid attention to politics, guys that, then all of a sudden you get invited to, hey, we're going to have kind of a sexual get-together at one of our homes, you should come. And I'm like, what did you just ask me to come to? and then you realize they're asking you to come to an orgy. Or the fact that there's some of the people that are leading on the movement to try and remove addiction in our country, and then you watch them do a key bump of cocaine right in front of you.
There's no floor in the Republican Party. Like, you can do anything you want. You can say anything you want. You can be Marjorie Taylor Greene and rise up in the ranks to be the number 2 in the Republican Party as far as the House conference is concerned. But as soon as you out any of these Republicans, you are dead in the water. I have never seen a campaign to destroy someone with the same intensity as the Republicans' own campaign to oust Madison Cawthorn.
I think initially I was like, he's full of shit. Then you read some more of these stories. I don't want to name any names because we had a libel training recently, but over time I grew to believe him. With my next pick, I'm going to go with shape-shifting Stefanie.
Someone who can effectively work with members of Congress. I have yet to see that from his candidacy.
Since his first day in office, President Trump has fought tirelessly to deliver results for all Americans.
You read calling someone horseface from the President of the United States.
I think it's unacceptable.
We're not here to talk about tweets. We're here to talk about impeachable offenses.
Well, I disagree with Mr. Trump on this issue. The election is not rigged.
Tens of millions of Americans are rightly concerned that the 2020 election featured unprecedented voting irregularities.
So Elise makes me insane because she embodies the reason why people won't have political courage and take a stand and denounce someone like Donald Trump. She went from moderate Republican to just flame-throwing MAGA defender, leading the charge on impeachment, doing whatever Trump wanted. She's smart. She went to Harvard. She was moderate at the time. All these people I know who know her or worked with her said this is a total act. It's a total con. Maybe she's grown to believe it, but I really hold a special hatred for people that are willing to just say and do whatever it takes to get ahead when they are smart enough to know that they're damaging the country.
I think there are people out there in the Republican conference who actually believe the things that they're saying.
Jim Jordan, for example.
Jim Jordan, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah.
I think that they absolutely believe the stuff they're saying. I would venture to say that Elise Stefanie is worse than them because she knows better.
Yep.
She knows that she's full of shit. She knows that she's just duping, manipulating, exploiting the people who are there supporting her because she just wants to consolidate her grip on power.
100%. Wants to be speaker.
Okay, for the next one, let's go with serial scammer George Santos. Let's see the
Can't believe he fell
clip
this far.
on this one, yeah.
No comment. I did not have access to my phone.
Prosecutors say you defrauded the American public. Will you
I
resign?
have no clue of what you guys are talking about. No, I will not. Excuse me.
They said that you stole people's identities. Did you steal people's identities? Did you commit identity fraud? Voters? What do you have to say to your constituents?
I will not. I have no comment. I was in conference like everyone else without my phone, so I have nothing to talk about. I need to take a look at it.
Did you commit?
Man, I don't even know where to start. The guy has lied about everything from his name to his religion, claiming he's Jewish, which I kind of feel that. Having employees who passed away in the Pulse nightclub shooting, his mom's own death on 9/11. I mean, there is no floor here. And of course, he was indicted by the DOJ. He was then hit with a 23-count superseding indictment, which he had just found out about there.
Lied about starting an animal charity, allegedly swindled a disabled veteran whose dog was dying. Not good.
He also
lied about being a volleyball player in college.
It's like, if you're going to lie about some illustrious sports career, maybe don't put yourself in the men's volleyball team.
Incredible. Absolutely.
He also lied about being, I believe, an investor in a failed musical, the Spider-Man musical. You could make yourself anything. And he's like, I invested in this musical that didn't make its money back.
Why would you lie about that? With my next pick, I am going to go with Andy Biggs' big election lies. Here's a clip.
Congressman Andy Biggs went on KTAR radio last week and made an incredible claim. Biggs said he personally spoke with data scientists who showed him anomalies, claiming that votes were switched in Arizona's presidential race.
You would have, for instance, you'd have 61,000 votes that by timestamp come into Donald Trump. And then the next thing you know, at just within a minute or so, the exact same number goes to Biden, and then a subtraction goes to Donald Trump.
Listen, Andy Biggs doesn't have the name ID, doesn't have the flash some of these other characters have, but he seems genuinely crazy, and he genuinely believes these election lies, and he spread them everywhere. I enjoyed this, Brian. His brothers wrote an op-ed saying that he was at least partly to blame for the January 6th riot, which makes him the second congressperson in Arizona whose siblings publicly attacked him. Paul Gosar's 9 siblings sought to expel him from Congress.
When they say family values, it means the families who disown the actual Republican
who
politicians.
hate their guts.
Okay, for my last one, let's go with Michelle Bachmann's Holy War.
It's a very sad life. It's part of Satan, I think, to say that this is gay. It's anything but gay. It leads to the personal enslavement of individuals. Because if you're involved in the gay and lesbian lifestyle, it's bondage.
Smash the delusion, Father, of Joe Biden as our president. He is not. Yeah. Would you take your iron rod and smash the strong delusion?
Well, it's good to see that Michelle Bachmann has gotten less crazy over the years. I actually hadn't seen any clip from Michelle Bachmann this decade, and that was the first thing I'd seen of her. And things don't seem to be going well.
And she ran for president in 2012.
Ran for president, yeah.
She's kind of like the OG Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah.
But I guess social media wasn't as pervasive and people were less shameless, maybe, pre-Trump.
Right, and there's nothing to say that if she was in Congress now that she wouldn't be just as bad. I mean, the incentive structure for a lot of the Marjorie Taylor Greenes is just the feedback they get and the fundraising bump they get when they say the things that Michelle Bachmann said without social media. If she was willing to do it back then when you didn't even really get a lot of the rewards that they get now, I mean, my God, imagine what she would be like today.
Yeah, she's not good. Okay, so with my final pick, unbelievable that this one lasted. Lauren Beetlejuice Boebert.
Oh, I didn't even see this one. I would have chosen that.
The DCPA says she was vaping. Boebert's team denied that, said the haze was from fog machines in the show. That claim goes up in smoke when you see the video. The pregnant woman sitting behind Boebert told the Denver Post she asked her to stop vaping, and Boebert refused. Her one-woman show continued, taking flash photos, raising her hands and dancing, often the only one clapping or standing up in the crowd. Boebert occasionally took a break from being disruptive to enjoy the company of her male companion. He briefly had a grasp on the situation before ushers returned and told Boebert she had to leave. The theater's incident report says Boebert pulled the "Don't you know who I am" card on the way out, appearing to give theater employees the single-finger salute.
Here's my thing. If you want to give someone an OTPHJ in a theater, you do you. Where she lost me on this one is, do you know who I am?
I was just going to say that.
You can't ever say that.
Yeah, that is the last time I would want anyone to know who I am.
Right, yeah. What the fuck? What is she thinking?
I'd be like, the only thing I would say is do not tell anyone who I am.
Yeah, do you know who I am? Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah,
that's
right.
Me. Yeah, so don't be a smug asshole to ushers or waiters or really anyone. This episode of Liberal Tears is brought to you by Z-Biotics. Let's face it, guys, as you get a little older, it gets harder and harder to bounce back the next day if you've had a couple drinks. And sometimes you're making that choice, right? Like, should I go out? Should I see friends? Should I have a drink or two? Or should I just stay in because I don't want to ruin my Sunday? That was a choice I had to make until I found Z-Biotics. Z-Biotics is a pre-alcohol probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Z-Biotics produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. It's designed to work like your liver, but in your gut where you need it most. Just remember to drink Z-Biotics before drinking alcohol, drink responsibly, and get a good night's sleep to feel your best tomorrow. The first time I tried Z-Biotics was well over a year ago. I went out with some friends, I had a couple drinks, I had a Z-Biotics before I left the house. I was amazed at how much better I felt the next day. It really was miraculous for me, and I've told every single friend I have about it since. And good news, our friends at Z-Biotics have given Liberal Tears viewers a special code to get 15% off your first order when you use the code RANK at checkout. So go to zbiotics.com/rank, use the code RANK at checkout for 15% off. Thank you again to Z-Biotics for sponsoring this show and for saving a whole lot of Sundays. All right, Brian, you won the toss, so you get the first shot at making the final pitch.
This is the only pitch you'll need to hear today. Here we go. Let's start off with Michelle Bachmann's Holy War. This is the OG theocratic crazy in the Republican Party. She was crazy before social media became a thing, meaning that she just did it for the love of the crazy.
The love of the game.
Then we have serial scammer George Santos. Lied about everything from his name to his mom's death to being Jewish to employees dying in the Pulse nightclub to now finally being indicted by the DOJ. Just went from rock bottom to even lower somehow in this Republican conference. We've got Madison Cawthorn's Coke orgies. He was so vile and apparently exposed secrets that were so closely guarded that even his own party needed to get rid of him. Move from there to everyone hating Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz being hated as a Republican by Republicans really says it all.
Says a lot.
Don't even think I need to go any further than that. Then we have the Newt Gingrich affair. This guy led the Clinton impeachment regarding an affair while himself having an affair.
With a staffer.
With a staffer. The shamelessness has no floor, and also the hill I'll die on is that he is also unilaterally responsible for the acrimony in politics today. And then, of course, Jim Jordan. Nothing is worse than him beating his chest as this champion of the party of family values while simultaneously refusing to acknowledge the harm that he did to 177 Ohio State University wrestlers by refusing to keep them safe at the hands of a team doctor. Just peak moral depravity.
All right. Good list. Here's what I got. We got Denny Hastert, longest-serving Republican Speaker of the House in history. Spent 15 months in jail because he is an actual creep who molested little boys. Then we got Kevin McCarthy, another Speaker of the House, who is single-handedly responsible for rehabbing Donald Trump in the wake of January 6th by going down to Mar-a-Lago, kissing the ring, and getting everyone else to follow suit. We got Marjorie Taylor Greene. You know her. You hate her. She has opened the aperture of how caustic and nuts you can be and still serve in Congress. We love her for that. Elise Stefanie is the epitome of a person who knows what she's doing is wrong, knows better than the things she does and says, but is doing it anyway because all she cares about is more power for herself. Andy Biggs, just a wackadoodle election denier. Don't know what's in the water over there in Arizona, but I don't love it. And then Miss Boebert, I know who you are, and I don't like it. Avid viewers of the show knows we've, for some reason, incorporated a punishment section of the show. We've both come to regret. Last episode, we talked about the best SNL impact on politics, and I won with about 72% of the vote.
Get Andy
Appreciate
Biggs here.
That.
Get Andy Biggs here. Something is awry.
So, Brian, because it is Halloween, and because we know how much you love this holiday, how much you love your adorable puppy, we wanted to get you a little Donald Trump doggy costume.
Yeah.
You can wear around.
Look at that. You see that?
We got a little Trumpy wig.
Yeah, and this time you get punished,
we
buddy.
We got a little tie. We got a little suit.
Mr. President, thanks for joining us. Why aren't you at the Fox News debate tonight in Milwaukee? Do you think Epstein killed himself sincerely? Donald Trump, thank you.
That's it for us today. We've now incorporated dog torture into our show, which feels wrong to me. But please let us know who won in the comments. Subscribe, tell your friends. Sound off otherwise.
Yeah, and if you have any respect for dogs, then make sure that Tommy never again claims victory in this game. You remember that.
He's looking into my soul.
He's looking through you.